How does she do that, man? That is so selfish. Please wake up. Wake up.
Damn me when I lose the...
On March 31st, 2017, when dispatch in the small town of Dubuque, Iowa received a frantic 911 call early in the morning, it was immediately clear that something was horribly wrong. What transpired would result in a truly shocking and controversial case. A series of EWU exclusive, never-before-heard interviews shed new light, and we conducted our own investigation to uncover even more twists at the end of this unbelievable case.
He took the SIM card out.
I need a cab. I need an 871 cam right now. I got a suspect stab right now, please.
Okay.
Please.
Suspect.
Okay.
870 cane. 870 cane. 870 cane. 870 cane.
Okay, listen to me.
Please.
You didn't answer my questions. Where are they stabbed?
It doesn't matter. Call me 870 cane. In the stomach. Okay. Come on, man. Tell him. Stop talking to me and tell him.
You need to stop yelling. You need to stop.
Please.
How old is the person?
Why are you still my call?
How old is the person? You're at the police. He's just screaming Anthony Kane. He won't answer any of my questions.
What? Oh my God! Yes, you're breathing on the floor. What's the question? What is so important?
How old is he? How old is he? Is he conscious? Is he breathing?
Get over here. You tell me if she's breathing. I'm scared.
Help is on the way. Help has been on
that's
the way.
all I need to hear. Thank you.
No, listen. Okay. Is she in the kitchen, bedroom, living room? Where's she at in the house?
In the living room.
In the living room. Is she awake right now?
Yeah.
Is she breathing?
Dude, I'm not. Please, get here. God damn it.
They're coming.
I gotta take care of it. Get here.
But listen, if she stops breathing...
The dispatcher can only relay the bare minimum to her officers, so when they arrive at 870 Kane Street, they have no idea what they're walking into. However, the few details given to dispatch were not the full story, and everything is not at all what it seems. The following footage has never been seen before. It's been analyzed by a licensed professional counselor, a licensed clinical psychologist, a civil rights attorney, a former detective, a licensed polygraph examiner, and a former hostage negotiation commander and instructor, and a certified crime scene investigator, certified instructor for the State of Florida Commission on Criminal Justice Standards and Training, and a graduate in crime scene investigations for violent crimes.
Alright, good.
Radio's not on.
Good.
Police department! 104 guy that wants to check down. Police department, everybody in here! Watch the basement. Watch the basement.
When officers approach the kitchen, they're confronted with a gut-wrenching scene. 21-year-old Samantha Link was sprawled across her kitchen floor, unresponsive. And as they kneel beside Sam, they can't immediately find the source of her bleeding, and they can't find a pulse.
104 already code 1, unresponsive female. I got nothing here. I'm starting CPR. Get a med bag real quick.
When CPR doesn't revive her, an officer sprints to his cruiser to retrieve his AED machine, which can deliver life-saving electric shocks to restart Sam's heart.
Stay calm. Call for help. Attach research pad to patient's bare chest. Patient analyze.
So we don't cut through the...
Shock his body.
Shock his body. Okay, hold on.
Don't touch patient. Press flashing shock button.
Stand clear.
Shock delivered.
While officers and other first responders swarm the kitchen, Sam's 25-year-old boyfriend, Fonte Bulow, who made the chaotic 911 call, is just outside and in the throes of a full-on meltdown. We spoke to Fonte ourselves in an EWU exclusive interview that you will hear later.
Dude, it was
please get the ambulance here? I don't see anybody except you guys. Can you please get an ambulance?
We have them on the way. Stand up.
I know. I thought you guys.
Stand up.
God.
Stand up for it.
Yeah, dude.
After what just happened, adrenaline has completely taken over. Before authorities can start any questioning, they know they'll have to wait until Fonte can compose himself. In the meantime, Fonte struggles to come to grips with what's happening.
Yeah, no charges on me. I've just seen some stuff. Come on, man. Yeah. We're not resist. Can you carry me a different way?
Just walk.
I can't. Like, look. Can you walk like this? Let's go. Not a bad guy. Just seen some stuff.
You got anything on you?
No, dude. I'm not.
All right. Take a seat.
Wait.
I'm cooperating with you. I just seen some stuff. I hope you
Why is he
understand.
immediately getting arrested?
I don't have one criminal charge against me.
Okay.
Can you please
Relax.
help me out?
Relax. I'm going to talk to you, okay?
When, man?
Wait,
right now.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They have no evidence of anything right now. They have immediately put... Now, he could have 100% done it. But we don't know that right now. There could be a killer in the woods. So to put this guy immediately in handcuffs while he's having a fucking mental breakdown, saying he didn't do anything wrong and put him in the back of the squad car is insane. I know you gotta take him in for questioning and everything and see what happened, but he's not in a manner to compose himself. So why right now are you going to put more stress on that guy and put him in the back of the squad car, put him in handcuffs, anything, to not let the full truth come out about what happened? Right? I feel like that's yeah. I feel like there's something wrong with that.
Come on, man. Is anybody hearing me? Do you know what's going on?
Stop. Stay in the car. Stay in the car. I'm going to talk to you, okay? She's getting help right now.
Is she okay?
Yes. Ambulance is here. Medical staff is here.
Okay.
She's okay.
Thank you,
okay?
man.
As Fonte gives police bits and pieces of information, a rough story starts to emerge. What started as a fun night out led to an alcohol-fueled spat between the couple.
I'm arguing with her, and it's the final straw. I'm like, dude, we're done. She's just like not trying to hear it because she never thought I would go that far, but it is, dude. It is. What am I looking like? Look right now. You know what I mean? Over with.
But soon, a simple argument escalated into the unthinkable.
So she's up there, and I'm like, I'm done. And she just stabbed herself in the stomach, dude.
She stabbed herself?
Yes.
Why did she stab herself, do you think?
Because she is upset with me.
One of the few clear things Fonte had been able to share over the 911 call was this.
Before I send any of my units in there, I need to know where the knife is, who stabbed them, if they're breathing. Do you know any of that?
It's me and her. We're in an argument.
Okay.
She is depressed and stabbed herself. She is not right in the head.
In the chilling aftermath of the events that morning, detectives find themselves untangling a disturbing story, and they will soon uncover that it's far more twisted than things first appear. In 2017, Sam Link was working as a certified nursing assistant, helping families in need. She was a celebrated local soccer player and known amongst her friends as an outgoing person. Fonte was a football and basketball athlete throughout school and shared Sam's love of sports.
Everyone really loved Fonte, everyone gravitated towards him.
So I've known Fonte for almost 20 years. We met during our first week at Jefferson Junior High.
He's friendly and a very loving person.
In an exclusive interview with Iwu, Fonte discussed the beginning of his relationship with Sam.
She was really nice, she seemed really happy. It was easygoing,
No one expected that a couple so full of life would end up in such a dark and terrifying situation. As first responders work to save Sam's life, police bring Fonte back to the station to answer a few questions.
At first, I was just like, oh, it's just protocol. He was the only one on scene.
But once he's had a few moments alone to catch his breath, his behavior is curious, to say the least. However, this could be due to the fact that he's been assured Sam will be okay, and the first responders are doing everything in their power to save her. Regardless, his behavior comes off as disturbing.
my God.
Fonte was read his Miranda rights while in the back of the police vehicle, and again before the questioning started. Though he wasn't under arrest, it's important to remember that when police ask you to answer questions about an incident, even if you're an innocent bystander, to say that you want to talk to a lawyer before answering. If you ask for a lawyer, all questioning must stop. Officer Wall is tasked.
Is that true that all questioning must stop? And is it granted in every single case? Because I've seen cases where the person is severely mentally ill or mentally challenged, and they've continued with the questioning even after asking, even after they ask for a lawyer, right?
With watching Fonte while the detectives get ready to question him about what exactly happened before police arrived on the scene. Fonte launches into his story, eager to share every detail of the previous evening up until these early morning hours. He explains an ongoing agreement that he has with Sam. Twice a week, on Thursdays and Saturdays, he goes out with friends. For reasons that will soon be revealed to police, Fonte prefers flying solo on these nights, leaving Sam back at home. But last night, Sam proposed a different idea.
She's like, well, can you stay home and, kick with me? I was like, all right, yeah, I can do that. I was like, well, what are we going to do then? Oh, we go to the Best Western and chill in the hot tub. And I was like, okay, yeah. So we went there, chilling, got a bottle, having a good time.
But before long, their plans take a turn when Fonte gets a phone call from his friend, Ricky, who invited them to join him and other friends at the bar. Still dressed in their swimsuits and sweatpants, the two head out to one of Fonte's favorite haunts, a local bar called Easy Street. By all accounts, the outing had a great start. Fonte's sister spoke to us in an interview about that night.
I remember seeing them the night before. They had taken pictures and stuff, and they just were having a really good time.
But as the night progressed, cameras from Easy Street catch a glimpse of the ups and downs that evening. In between periods of obvious tension and physical distance, Sam and Fonte were seen taking photos together and kissing. While it's not clear what specific incident ignited the series of fights between Fonte and Sam, authorities learned there were two main points of...
That started the fight right there. That fucking terrible-ass Facebook video. That's what did it. If my girl took a Facebook video of me like that with the stupid-ass roses and cherries, I'd be mad as hell, too. Say, what the fuck are you doing? You posting that shit on Facebook? Who you posted that for? Your mother don't like that shit. The fuck are we doing, man? Trying to have a nice time?
Of contention, a conversation between Fonte and Sam, and a chat he had with another woman at the bar. And his friend Ricky elaborates in our interview.
At the beginning, everything was, for the most part, fun, fine. But as the night kind of continued, Sam had a couple episodes with the girl I was seeing at the time and then one of her friends. I think it kind of originated just because Sam hadn't ever been introduced to them. And Fonte and I we were just all having, casual conversations, and she got upset about it.
According to Madeline, the woman who spoke with Fonte, Sam allegedly started yelling at her, but Fonte stepped in and de-escalated the situation.
What is a patient? It's the mom who gets up at 5 a.m. 3 times a
That goes down, and then it kind of just took off. I went out, had a smoke with her. We come back in, and she goes in the bathroom with the girl and like talking with her for like half hour. I was like, I thought you just hated, like, she's ready to kill this girl. And I asked her what happened. Like, I didn't care. I was like, what happened? Like, what turned the switch? You know what I mean? She's like, nothing. And she gets all mad and leaves because I was asking her a question. She never wants to talk about nothing.
But from the sound of things, this incident may not have been the real problem at all. At some point in the evening, Sam apparently left the bar for a short time, only to come back with her sights set on Fonte. In our exclusive interview with Fonte, he explains what happened.
I tried calling her over and over, and she wouldn't pick up. And about 20 minutes later, she came back to the bar, and she just looked like significantly more intoxicated. Like I said, this was like a common thing when we went out.
When she returned, Fonte tells police that Sam asked him for the names of his ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, the first thing I was like, do you really want to know that question? You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got nothing to hide, but like, you're drunk and you want to get pissed?
Did you pull her aside and talk to her, or you were still talking with her?
Oh, hell yeah. She was making a scene. I was like, come outside. Yeah.
So you went outside and talked to her?
Yeah. And she just was not hearing what I was saying.
Fonte explains that the friction between them steadily worsened. Eventually, he says Sam grew heated and walked away, disappearing from the bar a second time. And according to Sam's older sister, this wasn't necessarily out of the norm for Sam.
She doesn't like confrontation. She doesn't want to argue. She doesn't want to fight. And so instead of fighting with him, she would leave. She wanted to settle down, and he didn't. And so they'd fight about that a lot.
I'm like, why are you spazzing over that? And she's like, because I would blah, blah, and all this. And she just, I don't know. She's not like that. Just when she drinks,
But where'd she go then?
I don't know. But she left and then came back in like 20 minutes.
Okay.
So,
were you texting her when she left? Or?
No.
In an effort to confirm the events that night, police would soon gather more information from Fonte's cell phone. Information suggesting a slightly different version of events. But for now, he shares more context about his relationship with Sam.
She came back again because she's thinking, this is how she thinks, you know? She thinks I'm like doing, she came back trying to see if I was, this is what I think anyway.
Who's retweeting
She came back
this?
trying to see if I was doing something.
You haven't done anything to make her not trust you at all? That, like, nothing?
No. This ain't a relationship. I've never cheated on her or any girl. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we got, like, a, relationship like that.
Yeah.
You know, I want you to know that. She just has trust issues, you know?
Fonte elaborated on his past troubles with Sam.
I've been with a jealous woman before, but this was just extraordinary. Like, I mean, anything at all. If someone said my name or anything, she just assumed that there was something going on. Whenever anyone came up to us, like, I was always introduced her as my girlfriend. There was never anything funny about that.
But arguing had become more and more common in Sam and Fonte's relationship lately.
At the beginning, I was extremely happy for Fonte. I could see the happiness in his face. He would speak on it often. I'd say about a month or so, though, before the incident, he did voice some concern and was thinking about breaking up with Sam.
But Fonte wasn't ready to throw in the towel just yet, so he did his best to keep the peace.
So she left the first time because she found out that about your past relationship.
Sure,
So
yeah,
she was mad and she left. Then she came back out of nowhere and came up to the bar, ordered a drink like nothing happened.
Uh-huh.
And then what happened?
And then, after that, we started arguing again, and I'm sorry, I'm a little fuzzy here. Either she gave me a ride, or I'm pretty sure she gave me a ride. Either that, or I got a ride with some of my buddies, and they drive me. I really, like...
You don't remember if you got a ride from her, or you got a ride?
I can't remember. I will tell you it was either from her or one of my buddies, so it's one of those two. I'm not being shady.
Was she already in the house when you got there?
Man, this is hurting me right now, isn't it?
No, I'm just wondering. I just want everything to add up. So
I know. It's really important.
Fonte's memory is fuzzy in other areas, too. Even though he denied texting Sam when she left the bar that night, court documents reflect that he fired off at least 8 messages in a span of under 2 hours. He wrote, "You're doing dumb shit again trying to ruin us. Why? You're such a hypocrite. You think I didn't hear about you from your sis and her friends? Grow up, it was before us. You're pushing a good thing away. This is what I'm talking about. What if I did this? I'm by myself looking stupid, so I got 2 minutes and I'm leaving. Nobody knows where you are, like always." And finally, "Now this girl in my face talking how she win, 'cause when she in the bathroom with her, you made me look like a fool." Sam never responds to Fonte's messages, but the two eventually reconnect. Around 2 a.m., the bar shuts its doors for the night, forcing the couple to head back home. And it's here that their quarreling reaches fever pitch. allegedly over Fonte's past relationships.
And we're arguing, like, screaming. I've never, like, screamed at somebody like this since I was playing ball. You know what I mean? That's, like, I'm gone. You know what I mean?
So why are you upset?
Huh? Because she's spazzing over nothing that matters. She's not letting it go, you know. I'm drinking. That don't help. She's drinking. That's why she's even bringing us up, you know. Just like, you know, you gotta go. You gotta go. And she's like, I'm not going. I'm just like, no, you need to go right now. And she just starts getting in my face, starts pushing me. I'm like, I never put, like, hands, like, I can restrain shit. Like, you swing on me, if it's a girl, I could easily cut your hand in your right hand.
Right. And stab her.
What are you really gonna do?
Did you fall or
Yes.
fell on the ground?
Yes.
So you pushed her against the wall or?
No, I pushed her back for myself.
And stabbed her.
Came back at me again.
Yep.
Was like, stop, grabbed her. She's trying to punch me, but I got her arms, you know. I was like, stop.
And then she stabbed her.
She was on the ground, sitting down, and I grabbed her like this. I did not touch her. I grabbed her. I said, let's go. You know what I mean?
And you tried to get her upstairs?
Yes. Yep. And she's swinging on me. I'm like, yeah, all I'm doing is, even if she's hitting me, I'm taking them, you know. But when it gets out, she can hit. Like, whenever, that pushed her. That was the worst I did to her.
Even as police ask things that would make the average person anxious or uncomfortable, Fonte responds with an eerie flippancy.
Those scratches, you got a couple scratches.
I do? Yeah, probably.
Does she have long nails or?
I don't know. I mean, she's not like a diva, like normal.
They look kind of like nail marks or something. So
yeah.
So Kick just rolled out this new Kick Creative Incentive Program, and it's pretty wild. There's nothing like it in the industry.
In addition to the scratches police observed on his face, police find similar marks on Fonte's chest and both sides of his neck.
So you brought her upstairs.
Marks on Fonte's.
How does that happen? How does that happen? It's like he's growing another, like a little arm right there, you know? It's like there's another little arm coming out of where that is.
Chest and both sides of his neck.
So you brought her upstairs?
Yeah, we're fighting, going upstairs. She goes upstairs. This is the last straw. I'm like, get out, I'm screaming. I'm like, we're done. She goes over. She's about from me to the corner away.
Arms?
And there's that little,
then he could have stabbed her twice.
Knife thing,
with a bunch of knives.
Yeah. She pulls it out, and I'm like, okay, there's a stairs right here. I'm standing on the stairs between the kitchen right here, and I got my other foot on the downstairs. She's over here. She grabs the knife after we're in like the most heated of the argument. She grabs the knife. So I'm thinking, she's coming at me. So I'm on this, got my foot on the kitchen and my back foot on the door. I grab the door for it, thinking she's gonna, come at me. I'm coming, and she just, and I just started freaking out. Okay. I was the most mad I've ever been at anybody.
You ever seen those anime kids on the playground field? And they're doing like with the fake swords and stuff like and like I vividly remember someone going like this. I vividly remember this.
I grabbed the door for it, thinking she's gonna,
like
come at me.
If they dive, they go,
and she just,
and
I just started
fall to the ground. I remember that in my head.
Like they used to do that shit. I've ever been at anybody in my whole life, but even though she did that, it was really scary.
She didn't make any attempt to come at you?
No.
She didn't?
Nope, not with a knife. Okay.
In the midst of Fonte's reenactment, the officer also throws in a subtle question about Sam and the knife, one that may be designed to prevent any future claims of self-defense, should Fonte be intentionally deceiving them.
And I just lost it, didn't
So that's where all the blood came from, is you trying to...
I don't know. I can't tell you that for sure. I would assume so. I did not,
Right.
When that happened...
But you went over there and tried to help her, is what I'm saying?
She stabbed herself, and I was like, what the... And I was like, what the... I went up, and I didn't even touch her, I don't think.
As Fonte retells the story to different officers and detectives, slight differences emerge. He will later claim that he checked for Sam's pulse, but couldn't feel it.
She is okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, as far as I know, she's. I didn't really see her. I didn't really.
Who told you that she was okay?
One of the officers told us that she was okay.
He's obviously in a state.
EMS that was transporting her, also said that she was doing fine.
I just want to know she made it. That's it. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
Is she breathing?
Shut up and get over here. You tell me if she's breathing.
It's fine. I'm not that level of my common sense, Yeah. So, if she's fine, not necessarily saying I feel better, but I do.
Despite seeming confident here, Fonte had some concerns when he first stepped in the interrogation room.
I'm cool, right? Like, do I need to protect myself?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm not doing it, like, I'm cool, right? There's no, like,
no, not
tricks.
No. Basically, why we're doing it in here just because it's going to be recorded.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, everything's recorded anyways, but
sure. I just want to protect myself.
Yeah, no.
Fonte seems to sense that he may be in trouble if he keeps talking, but he stops short of asking for a lawyer. Officer Wall steps out, and 2 detectives arrive to finally begin their interview with Fonte.
I don't feel that I'm in the wrong. I would have never forgave myself if she would have died right there, and that wasn't my fault. Like, I care about the girl, but she has issues, and we can't be together. She's very good, just when she drinks, it's not good. She's a really good person. Like, I don't want you guys to get the wrong foot on her. I'm not.
One of the things you gotta do on social media is entice them that they're in love with you, right?
Contact,
so you're saying that it's just turning everyone off.
As the detective asks more pointed questions, Fonte stresses multiple times that he has no interest in seeing or speaking with Sam ever again.
The scratch and stuff, and you got like a little bruise on your, was that from her or?
Had it been. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to press any charges. Like, I don't want nothing to do with the girl. That's all I want to know. She's fine. Finally, the officer that I just talked to was super cool. Told me she was alright. That's all I want to know. If it wasn't already done, it's that nobody needs somebody to stab themselves in the stomach for you to say, go, I guess I do.
Shit, man.
Are we done? I'm tired, man. Like, I've had 3 people come. I'm answering the same questions for you guys.
But we're still.
Just a question.
Yeah, we're still kind of trying to piece things together, to be honest with you. I honestly don't have a straight answer for you.
I need one, or else I'm gonna leave.
Okay, well, let me figure out, because the county attorney's outside.
Okay.
And let me talk to them.
Sounds good.
Later, a deposition of Sam's ex-boyfriend would reveal an incident that rings eerily familiar to the one that Fonte has been describing to police. In his statement, Sam's former boyfriend describes an argument between himself and Sam that ended in her suddenly and angrily reaching for none other than a knife. But he alleges the fight ended when he took the weapon away from her, before she could harm either one of them. The similarities are hard to ignore. 2 fights, 2 different boyfriends, and 2 knives pulled in the heat of the moment. But as Fonte's grandfather alleges in an exclusive interview, Sam's past relationship may have been a catalyst for this type of...
I feel like someone could have seen this coming. I'm not some wizard, When I get off a stream, I don't start looking into the crystal ball. I really don't. But when I see something like this, I say, not good. That's what I say to myself. I say, this is not good. Whatever's happening here, the uses of quoting, the way there's a lot of toy guns being referenced, not good, right? You could see how something could go wrong. 100%. something could go wrong here. And I think that's why they like it. I think that's why they like it, because you're enticing them in with mystery. You're saying, will I kill someone? Maybe. Maybe I will. And then they keep retweeting it.
And 2 knives pulled in the heat of the moment. But as Fonte's grandfather alleges in an exclusive interview, Sam's past relationship may have been a catalyst for this type of behavior. Here he makes a claim about Sam and her ex. Note that he's not talking about Fonte, but rather the same ex-boyfriend who gave a deposition about Sam reaching for a knife during an argument.
They fought a lot and actually fought physically. And evidently it was physically the point that he would hit her.
If these allegations are true, Sam may have felt that her argument with Fonte would also turn physical, leading her to grab a weapon, perhaps in self-defense. But this case is anything but clear-cut. Sam was diagnosed first with borderline personality disorder and then later with bipolar disorder. She reportedly told a hospital staff member, "I feel every day and no one will help me." Confidential documentation would later allude to Sam's intent to end her life, perhaps on multiple occasions, as well as the means by which she would do so, stating that she would grab whatever she could find. But Sam eventually began a treatment plan that seemed to stabilize her condition. In fact, Sam paid a visit to her psychiatrist just 1 day before the incident, and the medical note suggests she was doing well. She rated herself with a low depression score. In any case, police need something more concrete to guide their investigation.
What could I possibly do?
She has borderline personality disorder. Who's to say that she didn't go into the other borderline personality and rate herself with a lower actual depression than what she is normally? The stats just don't add up. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And at the end of the day, I'm asking a question too. If someone goes into borderline personality disorder and rates himself with low depression, do you believe that score? Is that a real score? That's a question to ask yourself, friends, family, whatever.
Yourself in the stomach. Yeah. You get what you feel me? Like, yeah. I hope somebody do this one. Because it looks bad, I have blood on my thumb and my shirt. But I'm left-handed though. That makes me look a little good, right?
Huh? Huh?
I hope. I've got taken her to counselors. You stab yourself in the stomach. I'm not a whatever the people that do. I don't know. She's nuts. I know that. She's yeah. All girls are crazy. She's a little more crazy, but not like that. There's a switch that hits sometimes, and she just comes in.
Was she like cursing at you, like
yeah,
you know, that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah. Well, that's any girl, right? You know. She's a freaking furious female.
What Fonte doesn't know is that police will soon get more first-hand accounts of what happened at Easy Street. And this time, the details come from Sam's friends. Sam was with 3 different women at the bar, and according to their statements, she sat in her parked car outside of Easy Street at one point, crying. In the heat of her argument with Fonte, he allegedly threw her cell phone and purse. When one of the friends went in...
Why don't these people just break up, man? Why are these people still together? I don't understand. They're both, good-looking people. Like, you know, like they could both get someone else, for sure. But they have to stay together, even though they're fighting all the time? That doesn't make sense to me. You're gonna fucking fight and be like, well, I guess we love each other. Just fucking stop talking. Just stop talking to them. It's not... And I think they tried to take something out of the thing here, and it shows up now.
Inside to retrieve her things, yeah. Fonte reportedly refused, snapping that Sam could get the phone herself. And in our interview with Fonte, he doesn't dispute this.
I mean, the whole rest of the night, Sam and I were just really arguing a lot, and she just kept leaving from the bar and coming back several times. And each time she just came back more and more, like intoxicated. She was actually prescribed Xanax and Adderall, and when she mixed them, like when she was drinking, it's always bad. Plus, she was on a lot of antidepressants and things like that, so it got worse and worse as the night went on.
And as the bar neared closing, friends say they offered Sam a ride. For a potentially life-changing moment, she considered leaving with them. Sam and her friends were interrupted when Fonte approached her car. Witnesses recall overhearing Fonte, and it was clear to them that he didn't want her to leave with friends. Ultimately, Sam decides to drive herself and Fonte back home. If eyewitness accounts are true, it seems Fonte left several details out of his original timeline. Maybe these omissions can be written off as nerves or lingering intoxication, but police are still left wondering what else they don't know. Soon they would get a surprising piece of evidence from Fonte's phone, one that would prove very difficult to refute. The detectives from earlier return once again, this time to reveal the shocking truth they've been keeping from Fonte, flipping everything you think you know about this case on its head. But this is just the first of many twists in this case, as you'll see by the end.
We're investigators, you get that, right? Yeah. Cool. So this matter is pretty serious. I get it, yeah. Okay. Bad news is, she didn't make it. Your girlfriend is dead. Yeah, I'm sorry to break that to you, but this is the seriousness of this.
As he's confronted with the terrible news that Sam has died, Fonte appears to freeze. He's been highly animated until this moment. It could be the shock of loss, but his response seems to be an example of cognitive overload, and could be him processing what to do next and if he now may be facing charges. He's clearly reeling.
So I know you're a little... She did not make it.
Crazy output gain.
can't, man. I can't do it. I don't deserve to do that. Oh my God, dude. Oh man. I called him, dude. I called him so fast. I called him, dude. I called him, bro. They didn't come, man.
Earlier, Fonte appeared to be relieved when he was told that Sam was doing okay and calmed down considerably. This is significant because typically a guilty person would likely be panicked, knowing that the victim is still alive to tell the true story. However, once he's told she's dead, he lost it again. Alternatively, at the news of Sam's death, he could now be realizing just how serious the consequences could be.
I can't take me somewhere, man. This ain't gonna work. We gotta go. Now, I'm not on, dude.
Do what you gotta do.
Oh, hold on. Just have a seat with me right now.
Don't stand up with me, please.
I'm gonna give you some tissues, okay?
Well, you just take me somewhere. I'm not chilling in here.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what this chair, dude. Get me out of here if I don't need to be here. God damn it! Why don't you people get? Yeah.
You need to stay calm with us.
Yeah, you need to go through this. Am I here or am I not here?
You're here. We're trying
Go.
to...
Can I go?
No. And that's what we're trying to slow and deliberate. We got.
Okay. What do I need to do for you people?
We're getting search warrants, as I explained.
Okay.
We're going slow and deliberate. This is a serious matter. You need to cooperate with us.
I've been cooperating the whole time. Absolutely. You out there lied to me and said that she was fine. She said she was fine. Yeah, I know that. He lied.
I know.
He lied.
I don't know what was said.
He lied. That officer, that young 25-year-old, the same age as me. He said you're just like me and you. Looked me dead in the eye, said everything was cool, made me feel comfortable. She's dead.
I need you to turn around, and we have to put some handcuffs on you, okay?
Where are we going?
Is that fair?
Where are we going?
You want some fresh air? I'll get you some fresh air. So you can.
I want to smoke a cigarette.
I can't let you smoke.
This would be a good time to let Fonte take a break and go out for a cigarette. A cigarette can be an incredibly useful tool to bond in the interrogation room, as allowing someone to take a break is a great way to build rapport, and it's sometimes even referred to as a talking stick, as it helps get information out of people. It would have been a good idea to take this kind of break here because, as you'll soon see, Fonte is about to be out of control, and a smoke break may have helped.
Let me go. I do not care. If you're not arresting me, get me the out of here. I'm going to freak out, dude. If you're not arresting me, I'm going to walk out this room right now.
You're being detained. You're not going to walk out.
Okay.
Fonte is told he's now being detained, which is an indication that he's in custody as he's not being allowed to leave. The police likely intentionally withheld telling him this in order to keep him talking. If they'd told him earlier, there's a chance he would not have agreed to talk to them. This is why it's so important to ask for a lawyer before ever speaking to police. However, it is not illegal for the police to withhold explicitly telling Fonte he is being detained until now when he attempts to leave.
Search warrant is for your person, your body, so we're doing that. We're going to collect some things from you. Your clothing, your vehicle swabs, your phone.
Dude, I can't process what you're saying to me right now. Dude, are you going to take me to jail?
No.
Or what are you going to do? Dude, you don't get it. You think I can just sit here right now? I'm about to freak out.
I know, but you need to...
I've been calling with you guys the whole time.
Out of here.
Hey, I'm going to kill your wife. How you going to feel? You're going to sit here. Yeah, I'm going to be... No, you're not. No, you're not. And don't look at me in the eye like you are. No.
I agree with you.
No.
I'd say that.
Let me go.
No.
Well, then take me somewhere.
In our exclusive interview, Fonte discussed his seemingly unusual demeanor during the interrogation and what he says he was going through in these moments.
Initially, when I came down to the police station, I was led to believe that Sam was still alive. You know, that officer said man to man, she's getting help right now and she's going to be fine, and he had no knowledge of that at all. I don't know if he just said that so I would calm down or what, but I was pretty lighthearted about it because I'm thinking that she's alive, right? And after I'm done telling the story, they tell me, oh, we have some bad news, your girlfriend didn't make it, and I just went right back to being hysterical, and I was screaming. I was angry that they had lied to me. Yeah, I really lost control right there. If I had thought that she wasn't alive, I would have continued to be hysterical like I was, and when they tell me that she died, I completely went back to that.
I don't not like you guys. You don't get it. You've never had this happen to you.
I agree.
No,
but you're right that we haven't had this happen to us.
Oh my God! Get me out of here, please! Talk to them! Get me out of here! I'm freaking out!
As first responders exhausted all efforts to save Sam that morning, they were soon faced with a grim reality.
Her age is the only thing helping us right now.
Okay. They're on scene with approximately a female in her 20s, 2 stab wounds to the chest. Now, they're doing CPR right now, but she is asystolic on the monitor.
After providing Sam with CPR and AED support for almost 10 minutes, they were still unable to detect a heartbeat. So at 2:32 a.m., first responders called her time of death.
Copy my steel. Face the fact that ain't no cap, I'm real.
We spoke to Sam's older sister, Cassie, and she shared her memories of Sam before this heartbreaking moment.
Sam was my younger sister, but she was always bigger, faster, smarter than me. She was something else. She loved animals, dogs and cats especially. She loved caring for other people.
And while Sam slipped away, a strange exchange was taking place on the front porch. Fonte was in total hysterics outside the home, and one officer's body camera captured an alarming statement, one that seemed to hint at what may have happened early that morning.
Oh my God,
Relax,
dude.
man.
No, I
Relax.
can't relax, dude. She just stabbed herself in the stomach over nothing, dude. I called you guys so long ago, and there's still not an ambulance. There's on the floor, dude.
Relax.
Hey, yeah, you relax. Go stab your spouse in the face.
Stop.
Sorry, I'll tell you to relax. You stop. What more can you do to me?
Physical evidence from the scene suggested Fonte's hair-raising comment may have been more than jumbled words in a moment of distress. However, in our interview, Fonte addresses his seemingly chilling statement to police in front of the house.
At the time, I didn't know that police had to come and make sure the scene was safe for, ambulance and first responders. I felt like no one was helping her, and if I was just weak and just didn't have, anything left, They kept telling me to stand up, and I just eventually just exploded. And I just told them, I'll stab your spouse in the face and you try and relax. And I didn't say that because I hurt anyone or did anything. I just had so many different emotions, and it just came out like that. What I meant was trying to say to them was you have something like this happen to you and you try to stand up and relax.
The toxicology report showed that Sam had a blood alcohol level of 0.22, as well as Xanax, Prozac, marijuana, benzodiazepine, and cocaine in her system. Drinking alcohol while taking certain medication can be very dangerous. Xanax and Prozac are nervous system depressants. When combined with alcohol, Xanax can greatly increase the chances of severe impairments, including sedation, blackouts, and even seizures. It also can cause the person to become out of control and display anxiety, depression, mood swings, or aggression. When Xanax is mixed with alcohol, it also takes a lot less alcohol for the person to get intoxicated. Additionally, alcohol interferes with the effectiveness of antidepressant medications. So if Sam was drinking regularly, and especially if she's drinking several drinks at a time, her antidepressants, specifically Prozac, were likely not working the way they should. Mixing Prozac and cocaine can increase the risk of serotonin syndrome, a potentially life-threatening condition characterized by agitation, confusion, rapid heart rate, high blood pressure, and hyperthermia. Combining substances is very dangerous and unpredictable. In the kitchen, a suspicious dent in the dishwasher near Sam's body suggested a struggle took place. As for Sam, she was visibly disheveled. Both of her boots were kicked off her feet, and her hair was pulled out of her ponytail. She also sustained multiple injuries, including a large bruise on her forehead, injuries to her scalp, and bruising on her nose and inside of her mouth. 2 long, deep cuts were present on the back of her right hand. According to the medical examiner, these were indicative of self-defense, but this has been the subject of some debate. Sam also had scratch marks on her stomach, several small injuries to her lower body, and a total of 19 abrasions on her left chest. A shocking piece of evidence will soon be revealed that might explain some of these injuries. Whatever happened, it was violent. But Fonte's family isn't convinced he did anything but defend himself.
There was some evidence that he had pushed her, but he had to get her off of him because she was biting through his cheek.
In our conversation with Fonte, he shares more details about what happened in the basement as he and Sam argued.
I said, just leave, get out of my house, please, and I was cussing at her, and, calling her names and stuff like that. I'm not proud of, but I was just really frustrated. Not long after that, she stood up like she was going to leave, and she just started punching me in the face. I was screaming at her, and she just keeps trying to punch me, so we're wrestling around, and eventually eventually I get off of her, and I have like her hands pinned down. As I'm yelling at her, she like leans up.
What a weird way to like defend yourself, to be like, oh, I really didn't mean to yell at her. So back to how she died. Yeah.
Up and starts biting my face, and like she ends up getting like her teeth like on my cheek, and just it's like it's really sinking in, and I'm trying to pull away, and she's like, I'm feeling like she's gonna like take a chunk out of my cheek. So I didn't know what else to do, so I took my thumb and I started like pressing it against her eyelid. Immediately when I did that, she stopped biting me, and I immediately stopped as well. And I just stood up and I said, please, leave. Like, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. She just looks at me and like kind of like just gives me this like a weird like smile. We get to the top of the stairs. She, instead of going left, like she was about to leave, she goes straight into the kitchen, and she grabs the butcher knife and she turns around and faces me. And instead of coming after me, she takes the knife and she stabs herself, which I thought was in her stomach, but it was actually in her like sternum, like chest area. And it looked like she went like halfway in and then more in. And I just completely panicked.
But the main aggressor in the argument isn't the only subject of debate. There's also the issue of the knife.
We're going to King's Landing.
The blade that Sam supposedly stabbed herself with was found 10 feet from her body on the living room carpet. In order for the knife to land in the living room, Sam would have to muster the energy to fling the blade into the next room as she bled out. 2 of Sam's 3 stab wounds fully punctured her chest, with the knife plunging into her heart. 3 stab wounds to fling the blade into the next room as she bled out. 2 of Sam's 3 stab wounds fully punctured her chest, with the knife plunging into her heart and her right lung. Court documents describe both wounds as independently fatal, both rendering her incapacitated immediately. But this claim begs the question, would it be possible for Sam to puncture her chest fatally at least 2 times? One expert weighing in on Sam's case stated that multiple stab wounds were found in 0% of self-inflicted deaths. However, the study was limited to a review of blade wounds for only a 10-year period, and only in Vermont. The medical examiner also explained that trajectory of the knife was important. In Sam's case, the orientation...
Who the fuck is dare? A fucking dare ruler, dude. A fucking dare ruler. You are shitting me. You are fucking shitting me. Who is doing these studies, man? Who is doing these studies? Be like, yeah, we're only gonna look in this place to see if people stab themselves more than once. Like, why not just fucking look everywhere and make the fucking study better? Like, yeah, you could go into they didn't have enough money to do that or whatever, but it just sounds stupid if you're doing a fucking study and it's like one of the only studies out there to see if people stab themselves more than once when they kill themselves. And it's like, oh, we only done it in Vermont. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Why the fuck would you do that? Just, why would you?
Of the stab wounds were either oblique or vertical, which is rare when self-inflicted, as it forces someone to hold the knife at an awkward angle. It's important to note that despite these claims, professional opinions still vary. In the same Vermont study referenced by experts in this case, researchers noted that circumstantial evidence plays a crucial role in determining who caused blade wounds,
study is
as
just
no
completely
characteristics
thrown
they
out of the
studied were
window.
surefire signs of homicide or self-infliction.
Like, that's not a real study.
Additionally, there are many other cases where people had similar wounds and did not die instantaneously. According to WHO estimates, approximately 1.6% to 3% of self-inflicted deaths were performed with a bladed weapon. For example, a 30-year-old man was found dead in his flat with more than 40 stab wounds to his neck, chest, and abdomen. These wounds were arranged in isolated groups, within which they showed similar directions and had a transverse orientation. It appeared that, like Sam, the man consumed cocaine, and all of his wounds were self-inflicted. Another example is that of a 72-year-old woman who was found dead in her bedroom with a 4-centimeter vertical stab wound in the abdomen, similar to Sam's. A blood-covered knife was found in the top drawer of her bedside table, along with bloodstains in every room of her apartment, consistent with long-lasting physical activity after self-stabbing. In another shocking case, a 44-year-old man stabbed himself in the heart with a kitchen knife and then ate lunch with his aunt before dying. Research shows that death can be delayed after vascular trauma like Sam's, so it's nearly impossible to be precise about the estimated length of survival time following fatal injuries like hers. An unusually shaped blood stain found near Sam's body seemed to mimic that of the large knife, suggesting the blade may have fallen beside her right hand. But court documents argue that the blood stain in question came from Sam's right hand, which smeared across the floor as first responders moved her body to render aid. But in spite of conflicting evidence and research, it's still the medical examiner's opinion that Fonte's story doesn't completely add up. Fonte argues that there's more to this scene than meets the eye.
Are you a live streamer, content creator, or anything else in between? Well, Kicks just launched their brand new Kick Creator Incentive.
If I was the one who grabbed the knife, why would Samantha switch places with me and put herself into a corner? I actually had another expert, his name was Dr. Brad Randall of Dakota Forensics. He explained that these were offensive wounds and not defensive wounds because they were on Sam's ring and pinky finger only, and that defensive wounds are typically pokes and slashes on the forearms, or if they're on the hands, it's usually on the palm or pointer and middle fingers from them trying to grab the blade and defend themselves. Dr. Brad Randall explained that the cuts on those two fingers were caused by Samantha stabbing herself with the blade facing down, and the knife slips when she makes contact with herself, thus cutting her ring to pinky fingers only in a diagonal cut.
In line with Fonte's statements, the medical examiner actually acknowledged that someone else might have ruled Sam's death as self-inflicted or undetermined. In fact, a second forensic pathologist brought onto the case disagreed with some of the medical examiner's findings and specified that they believed the manner of death was self-inflicted. We requested the autopsy report so that our team's certified crime scene investigator could review it, but we were denied at every turn. We received a vague report, but any officer reports and crime scene technician reports were missing. Though the autopsy would have been extremely helpful to create a better picture of what happened that night, the officer reports and crime scene reports paint the best picture. They describe what the investigators did or didn't do at the scene, and these things are especially significant in the case of a suspicious death. They also help to back up facts around an investigation, something that'll become extremely important by the end of this video as we continue the investigation despite being denied access to many reports. And what we uncovered is truly shocking. Understandably, every last detail of the case is under a microscope. According to Fonte, a major area of contention involved his initial conversations with police, where he claimed Sam had been stabbed in the stomach rather than the chest. While it's worth looking into any inconsistencies in this story, as Fonte says, Sam was wearing a loose sweatshirt, making it difficult to tell exactly where her wound was located.
When she stabbed herself, she immediately collapsed and didn't make any noise. She didn't scream or anything at all. She just turned around, looked right at me, and did it. Like, I had no idea she even seen that coming, or I didn't see that coming. I had no idea that she was about to do that at all.
Fonte doesn't dispute how strange things appear. Instead, he offers what he considers grounds for reasonable doubt.
It probably is a little hard to believe that someone would choose that way to stab themselves. It happened, and just because something's uncommon mean that it's impossible or that it didn't happen. She left a bloody fingerprint near the handle, and the state said that there wasn't enough rich detail to tell if that print was made by Samantha's fingerprint or mine. Samantha had 2 cuts on her ring and pinky fingers only. So obviously the bloody fingerprint was made by her hand and not mine. That was a big thing in the trial, that they said that they don't know whose fingerprint that was.
This is the kind of thing that the officer reports and crime scene reports would be able to shed some light on if we hadn't been denied access to them. The reports would detail if the investigators used any chemicals to attempt to enhance the print in blood. There's a few common chemicals that can enhance faint traces of blood without destroying DNA, so they have no excuse not to use those. For example, they could have used a chemical called aqueous amido black, a water-based protein dye stain that enhances faint traces of blood, typically used for development of latent or patent prints. This could have helped to determine whose finger the print actually belonged to, something crucial to the case.
The police swabbed all the sinks and bathtubs, and they found that I didn't wash my hands or anything like that. There was no gloves found.
It's also worth noting what appears to be the same hoodie Fonte was wearing earlier, as seen on CCTV, was found in the house. However, it doesn't appear that it was even collected as evidence or tested for blood residue.
If I was the one who stabbed Samantha, I would need to be very, very close to her. But the blood spatter on the floor was very much out of reach and distance from Samantha's body. So if I was in fact the one holding the knife, how would that blood spatter on the floor several feet away be behind me? It would have hit me, and it would have been on my T-shirt.
There was no forensic evidence found to show that Fonte ever touched the knife. A blood spatter expert also stated that the small amount of blood on Fonte's T-shirt could have been deposited even if he was standing 10 feet away from Sam. As for the location of the knife, there's no clear answers, only questions.
Yeah, to this day, I do not know. I mean, when I was calling 911, I know that I was running back and forth. We talked about maybe, did I kick it? I don't believe that I kicked it. 8 to 10 feet is a distance, but it's not, extremely far. It could have bounced or anything like that. It was on like a tile floor. We also discussed the possibility of when the paramedics came in, they said that the scene was very chaotic, and I wondered if maybe one of them accidentally kicked it too. A lot of different things could have happened.
In any case, police weren't willing to let Fonte leave interrogation without more answers.
You better thank my mom. You guys better thank my mom. I'm going nuts to arrest me. Okay, we're not going to arrest you right now. Yeah. But I just want to put these on just so, okay? Yeah. Just so we can get some fresh air. Okay? Yeah. Now keep in mind, right now you're not under arrest, okay?
You're making me feel like it. Somebody just killed
I'm explaining.
And you want to put me in handcuffs. Man, can you let my hands? I promise I won't do nothing.
We got it this...
I know, I was freaking out.
Come on, man, please.
You're bigger than me.
Why does she do that, man? That is so selfish, dude. They really hit me yet, you know what I mean?
No, I'll see you.
No, dude. Man.
As shocking as this case has been so far, most of the twists have yet to be revealed, including a never-before-heard interview. Things are about to really go off the rails.
When you buy 10 tickets on Vivid Seats, you get the 11th ticket free. I wonder what my 11th will be.
I'm so sorry. I loved you so much. And for you, baby. I can't believe it. Please wake up. Wake up. Please come back. Please, Sam. Come on, man.
When an officer returns to keep an eye on Fonte, he continues to ramble.
I don't even know why she did that. She has some issues, but none like that. But I've only been dating her 8 months. You know what I mean? What? What could I have possibly
I've never. Sure, it wasn't you. Someone's gonna do that to themselves. You know, that's kind of. Why'd it have to be on me? Like, I'm so good. Like, I'm from here. Like, I'm so connected with her family and her sister, and I'll never. I always feel like this is my fault. I believe she's dead, man. I know she's not. I mean, like, she gotta be looking like salty as hell.
Fonte inspects his reflection in the window to get a closer look at his injuries, but can't resist yet another interesting comment, this time about the bloodstains on his shirt.
Oh, yeah, she did get me, huh? Yeah. I didn't even know. I heard you guys talking about it, but I didn't really see. Yeah. Maybe that's my blood. Very well could be.
No matter what Fonte says, police have already found some shocking evidence in the most unlikely of places: Fonte's own cell phone. The following clip is just minutes before Sam's death, when Fonte recorded a video that partially documents their disagreement. But it's what police don't see that raises the most suspicion.
Stupid ass. Sitting there, get out my house, please. Get out my house, please. Yep.
Seriously,
Yep, get out of here. Get the rest of the stuff from here.
Don't get dumb. Okay? Don't ever get dumb. You can get out right now. Think yourself with your boyfriend that you had. I'm not a woman beater.
In this video, there were no visible injuries to Sam's nose and forehead, suggesting she sustained them right before she died. While this video looks damning to some, Fonte's friends and family notice something different.
She came
Instead of damning proof of an attack, they see it as grounds for reasonable doubt.
Yeah. When Sam comes running at him and he's laughing and he's saying, "I'm not your ex-boyfriend. I don't hurt girls. I don't do that. Like, I'm not him."
But the abrupt end to the video left many wondering what wasn't documented and why it cut off so suddenly.
The phone that I had, you had to like hold the button to like record it. Kind of like a Snapchat kind of scenario. When she came at me, she first punched me in the face and I just dropped the phone. To be honest, I'm not sure why I started recording it, and I think I just wanted her to leave. I knew that probably was going to irritate her.
Meanwhile, the disbelief some of Sam's family first felt about Fonte's guilt gradually began to shift.
After the evidence came out, it all made sense, and I completely believe that he did it.
Fonte's interrogation ends soon after, but just before officers take him away, he leaves authorities with some curious final words.
What could seriously happen worse than this? If you have something, then let me know. That's pretty bad. I'll never forgive myself.
Despite his interrogation coming to an end, some of the most shocking details were yet to be uncovered. Ultimately, the impact of Sam's death would be vast, transforming the lives of countless friends and family members entirely.
Yeah, so the evening that Samantha passed away, is one that will always be in my mind. It's a tragedy. Like I said, Samantha was a young girl. She was 21 years old.
Fonte was arrested for murder in the first degree, but it was at trial where more was revealed about what may have happened that night, and even more twists in this already shocking case. Fonte lied to police when he told them he immediately called 911. Phone records indicate Fonte made another call first, to his friend and housemate BK, who also owned the home he lived in with Sam. Along with a sobering reminder, Fonte offers a glimpse into why he made that choice.
I didn't know what to do. Immediately I called him and it rang for a couple seconds, and then I guess I was just panicking. And then I immediately called 911. I've never called 911. I've never been in a situation to call 911. I didn't know what to do. I just remember realizing that was
happening to my hair, man.
That wouldn't help, and that's when I called 911. When people say, "Oh, you should have did this, or you should have did that," like, you don't know what you would do when you get into a situation like that. When something like that happens, I don't know, you kind of just react.
However, according to court briefs, Fonte allegedly said to an officer, "I thought that was dead." When we reviewed the interrogation, we did not, sir. However, according to court briefs, Fonte allegedly said to an officer, "I thought that was dead." When we reviewed the interrogation, we did not hear Fonte say this in the officer's presence, but rather,
"I thought she was dead."
Even so, Fonte's loved ones feel he wasn't granted a fair shot at justice.
Frankly, there are a lot of things that took place in this trial that will make you raise your eyebrows.
And he isn't kidding. Through our own investigation into this twisted case, we uncovered even more unbelievable details, including a shocking, never-before-heard interview with a jury member.
Innocent till proven guilty just didn't seem like much of the case here. Like, I understand how hard it is to wrap your head around somebody doing that to themselves, but the lack of investigating before charging him forced their hand to kind of do whatever it takes to save face.
Fonte stands firm in his belief that authorities had their minds made up about him.
They completely didn't believe me from the very beginning. They immediately assumed that this was a homicide, but they did no investigation whatsoever.
We spoke to a verified source deeply involved with the case. They wished to remain anonymous in order to avoid putting their business at risk. Allegedly, when they raised questions about the nature of Sam's wounds, the police followed this person and warned them to back off. They also claimed that the town of Dubuque, Iowa is allegedly corrupt and mob-run.
He actually ended up being followed by one of the police officers, and he ended up pulling over and having a conversation with him.
According to Fonte, Sam also showed a predisposition toward violent acts, and allegedly had a history that contradicts her older sister's statements about Sam's passive nature. He shares his recollection of an alleged fight between Sam and Cassie.
Sam's actually beaten her up multiple times on record. Cassie actually had to lock herself into her own room in her own house, and she busted down the door and beat her up. I mean, there's a lot of times where she was confrontational.
We asked Cassie about this alleged incident, and she had this to say, quote, "Nothing like that ever happened when Fonte was around. I believe he's trying to make Sam look like the bad person in this story. Sam and I argued at times like sisters do, but we were always very close and didn't fight often. She got physical with me once, but Fonte wasn't there." At trial, Sam's mental health records were excluded as evidence. Fonte's friend Ricky shared more about the trial.
Fonte had to waive his right between either a speedy trial or being able to cross-examine all the jurors. He had to pick one. You have the right to both, so that was weird.
Court documents indicate that the judge, Monica Ackley, required Fonte to either waive his right to a speedy trial or waive his objection to the racial distribution of the all-white jury. During jury deliberations, a court officer stated that the jurors were arguing so loudly they could hear them from outside the jury room. In an exclusive EWU interview, Andrew, a holdout juror, explained his position, and upon reflection, Andrew didn't think things looked good for Fonte before the jury was even selected.
I looked around the room. There's like 200 or a little more than 200 people to select from a jury pool. I said, he's the only black person in this room.
Andrew admits he was initially very skeptical of Fonte, but he was willing to keep an open mind.
A lot of people just assumed, like I did, when I saw that there was a dead girl and he's being accused of stabbing her, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he killed her. After that first day of trial, I said, I believe he killed her, Lord, but I said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll pay attention to what goes on in the trial, and we'll go from there. As the trial went on, I became less and less convinced that he actually killed her.
Andrew's logic. The evidence presented wasn't compelling enough to say anything for certain. Among other things, he took issue with some of Sam's injuries.
How was he convicted if someone from the jury is saying, okay, I never thought he was guilty? Then why the fuck are you saying that he's guilty for? Well, actually, can it go down to oh, this amount of people think you're guilty, these amount of people think you're not? And that's how they sentence you?
Did the autopsy.
That's kind
when
of
they
weird,
asked him about the cuts on his hand, he didn't explain it. He just said those are defensive wounds. And when I saw where the cuts were on her fingers, I was like, that's not consistent with him stabbing her. If you're being stabbed in the chest, your hands are going to instinctively fly in front of your chest to try and block the knife. You would have cuts on your hands other than where she had those cuts. See, he just dismissed it out of hand. I'm like, well, you didn't think that through very much. I mean, This was a serious matter. There was a dead girl, and he's being accused of murder. And, I took it very seriously.
And according to Andrew, the judge left no question as to what the jurors were charged with deciding.
It was made very clear that if you have reasonable doubt, then you cannot convict.
But allegedly, any sense of cooperation among the jurors quickly dissipated at the first sign of conflict.
I told the other jurors, I said, I've paid very close attention to what's been going on in there. And I said, based upon everything I've seen and heard, I can't convict this man. And that's when immediately the other juror said, well, if everybody's like you, then nobody would be in prison. And right there, they set the tone for the rest of that deliberation. And that's when I started to let them know that I just wasn't going to tolerate being disrespected like that, bullied, intimidated, because that's ultimately what they were trying to do to me.
But Andrew's experience went far beyond working through differences in opinion. He says some other jurors were downright antagonistic.
2 of them were attacking me. And the other girl who wasn't going to convict, they didn't treat her the way they treated me. They would ask her questions. Why do you think this? Why that? They were not civilized towards me. At one point, we were like, we're not going to agree on this. Let's tell the judge that it's a hung jury. But the judge was like, nope, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. After the confrontations, it just became a very hostile room to be in. One female juror was actually crying because of all the hostility in there. They were absolutely determined to throw him into prison, and they weren't going to be persuaded.
Eventually, some of Andrew's fellow jurors allegedly accused him of not honoring his oath as a juror.
Yep.
And this is where Fonte's case takes another appalling turn.
That Friday, before we were dismissed for the weekend, the judge pulled all of us into the courtroom and admonished all of us that we have a responsibility as jurors to deliberate. Well, that Saturday, the next day, I wrote that note to the judge and then had it presented to her the next Monday. I asked the attendant if she gave the judge the letter, and she said, yes, I did, and she read it. Unbeknownst to me, the judge sent a note to the jury foreman asking for my identity, and they gave her my name without my knowledge of this happening. Reading that note, you can tell I was not going to convict him. I was not going to let the other jurors bully me into making a decision I didn't feel was right. She told
Now, couldn't he turn this around and say, oh, they're accusing me of not fulfilling my oath as a juror? They're not fulfilling their oath as a juror by not fulfilling my oath as a juror. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to get me out because they want this whole trial to go a certain way. He could immediately turn that around on them and said, "Oh, you're accusing the one of the people of saying he's not guilty in this case of being not fulfilling his oath as a juror." That's easily seeable that these people are trying to get a certain outcome, and whoever doesn't, now he could have done it. I'm not saying anything, but from this evidence, you can see that the people who were wanting this guy to go to jail were not going to back off. And were doing everything in their power to get everyone on the same side. You can see it.
The prosecutor and the defense attorney that she decided to have me removed from the jury before she read that note. And I know that that's a blatant lie. She lied to the prosecution and the defense. That note is why she kicked me off that jury, because that judge wanted a guilty verdict, and she purposely manipulated that verdict.
According to Andrew, the way he was treated had a ripple effect on other members of the jury.
The defense attorney asked me what had happened, and I told him. They said, would you be willing to come in and sign a sworn affidavit to what happened? And I said, absolutely. And the other girl who had changed her verdict out of fear, she had told them that the judge came in there after kicking me out, threatening to prosecute me and stuff like that. She said after what they did to Andrew, she said, I'm a single mom. I don't need that kind of trouble, so I changed my verdict just to protect myself, which is exactly what that judge wanted.
Ultimately, after Andrew was ousted from the jury, his replacement as well as the remaining jurors voted to convict Fonte of murder in the second degree in 2018. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison. We reached out to Judge Ackley for comment, but didn't hear back. We also reached out to the other jurors, but they declined to be interviewed. In 2020, the Supreme Court agreed to give the case a second look. The first judgment was reversed, granting Fonte a new trial. But Fonte's victory was short-lived. Andrew noticed a similar theme with the second trial, which was presided over by the same judge.
Ah, shit.
Investigator
What the
who had
fuck?
talked to me, I told him, I said, if there's no black jurors on that jury, he's going to get convicted again.
Presided over by the same judge? Are you fucking kidding me? Are we trying to give this guy a fair trial or not? Okay. Then why would you give him the same judge that ruled him as guilty? Now, obviously she didn't, but she probably had her own biases, and you're trying to get out of all of that. This is a whole new slate, a new trial. Fuck the recent judge. Like, that's the thing. That's what you're trying to do by getting a new trial.
And he told me, he said it was an all-white jury again. Once again, you had a bunch of jurors who were not going to be persuaded that he did not kill her. As far as they were concerned, he's guilty. Throw him in prison and let's be done with it. You know, I hadn't had a lot of faith in the justice system anyway, but that pretty much just destroyed it.
After the second jury deliberated for over 6 hours, Fonte was convicted of second-degree murder once again. Perhaps coincidentally, Judge Monica Ackley has come under public scrutiny for recent rulings, including the decision to allow a former police officer convicted of assault go without prison time for a third-degree attack on a 14-year-old girl. One media source also highlights Judge Ackley's low performance scores in the Iowa Bar Association's review for judges. In any case, Fonte doesn't hide that the system is wearing on him.
The reason I got my case overturned and the reason that I feel like we're here today is because it's seriously so unbelievable how I got convicted twice. Obviously, Sam and I had both been using drugs and alcohol that night. I blew a .11 and she blew a .24, like, along with Xanax, Adderall, antidepressants, and all that. Like, she also had, like, the ability to not feel pain from all of that. On the day before Samantha's death, she seen her doctor, and he reported on record saying that Samantha had been feeling much better since being with me and had no thoughts about. But on that exact same day, my investigators found text messages on her phone saying that she just tells her doctor what he wants to hear so she can get her Xanax and Adderall and get out of there. And I just feel like I've been a nightmare for 7 years.
Sadly, after his second trial, Fonte's mother passed away from breast cancer. But she was a fierce advocate for her son until her last day.
She never would give up. No. And she'd go to see him. No matter how sick she was, we'd always go every other week and see him. And she would be in the car until she couldn't be.
I would be just the happiest person in the world if he could come home right now. It would just make my day so much brighter just to see him and have him home.
After 2 appeals, Fonte still hasn't given up hope and is working with his legal team for another shot. But for now, those who loved Sam are focused on keeping her legacy alive.
My second born, his name is Leo because Sam was a Leo.
Some of Sam and Cassie's relatives were in the background of the interview listening in, though not on camera. They began to argue, and the interview ended abruptly shortly after. We asked Cassie about this later, and she explained that her family was upset over the fact that Sam's not here to, quote, talk for herself, so Fonte gets the benefit of saying whatever to make her look bad. It's been 7 years, and yet here we are still having to deal with Fonte trying and doing anything he can to get away with murder.
Here's the thing. Everyone has the right to a fair trial. And when you see in a case, I don't care if he fucking did it or not, he could have killed her. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about everyone has a right to a fair trial. And when there is evidence that this trial has been manufactured and is being corrupted by the jurors that are in it to get a certain verdict out, that is a problem. And that is a huge problem. And no matter what you think, he killed her, he didn't kill her, whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is is a fair trial. That's all that matters in a case like this. And when you see that it isn't, that's a big problem.
We gave Cassie the opportunity to address Fonte's other comments without her family present, but we didn't hear back from her. Sam's bright and caring spirit will not be forgotten. And as for Fonte, time will only tell what comes next.